Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is The Interview. And today on the show we have good friend, long-time supporter, great musician, awesome YouTube channel, a creative creator by the name of Zielinski. We're going to kick off with a bit of jazz, baby. This is In a Monk Dream. Hello and welcome to the show. My name's Jade. Where's my tag? There it is. What's going on? Welcome to the interview. This is my end of the week show where I get to relax and hang out with somebody really nice who's creative and just chat, and you guys get to hang out with us and do it. It's been a while well, we had Laurie on last week. Just give me a chance here. So today, there could be a few little problems because all the music's coming from SoundCloud, so we get a lot of ads. So I'm trying to juggle things around, but we'll be right. And yeah, as I said, end of the week, lots of stuff coming up over the weekend. I hope your week's been really good, everybody. I got some stuff coming up. I got Bike With Me coming up tomorrow on the Friday Human Centipede Train of Entertainment, kicking off with Valerie Butt. That is going on tomorrow. And a whole bunch more, heaps of music coming up this week. But let me bring on this special guest I have. So this dude has been around a lot of channels for a long time. You may have seen his name, you may have heard his music, you may have seen his channel, but somehow, somewhere along or around the channels, you would have seen the name Zielinski. And we get to hang out with him all the time on Clubhouse. And he's a very talented musician, and he's got a fantastic YouTube channel. And if you think, you've got enough YouTube channels in your life about learning how to use apps, you should subscribe to Ed because he thinks outside the box. He's an outside the box thinker. I'll say hello to you all in the chat as we go on with the show like normal. But let's bring him on. I've talked enough shit, so I can see him sitting in the green room. Oh, there's a very green room where he's sitting. Let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, tables and chairs, pull down your undies and show us Zielinski. What's going on? How was that intro?
Fantastic. That's a lot to live up to. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Ed.
It's great to be here.
We kind of talked about this a little bit on the cards, on and off, about you coming on, and then I get sidetracked, and you guys know what I'm like.
Yeah.
I've got a brain like a sieve. I remember, and then I don't remember, and then we eventually get there. The cards, they have to fall into place. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I just need to say something. Studio 6+1, welcome. Thanks for becoming a member. And we're going to dive straight in. And, I'm going to start off by asking, how the fuck did we meet?
Oh, well, I found you on YouTube.
Right. You stalked me.
Yeah. First I found Pete.
Right.
And then Pete led me to you.
Right. So
and then
Pete,
all the other people,
the gateway
surrounding
drug
you and
again, Pete.
Yeah.
Pete, if you're here, you are forever the gateway drug.
Always. Mm-hmm.
So, Ed, what does music mean to you, my friend?
Oh boy, what a question. I got to say, I think it means humanity. I think that's really the key. Music is, it moves through the air, right? It's sound waves and stuff like that, but it doesn't take on any meaning until a person hears it or someone produces it. And when that connection occurs. And to me, that's like the essence of it, is like, that's, music is like taps into the part of us that makes us human.
It's been such an integral part of our existence, of our history, of our culture, and it's changed in so many ways. Music, of course, like, could be because we change. It's funny. Do you think music has the same power that it had, say, in the 70s when it brought home soldiers from war?
I don't think not like as a social force, like across the board.
I mean,
no, I think it doesn't. I think it has pockets of influence, but I think it's very fragmented now. Whereas then, like, it was sort of like there was like one sort of, there was a lot of scenes, but then they were kind of connected, and there was like one big scene that sort of everybody sort of tapped into: the radio, the TV, things like that, and there was like a connection. There was like a much broader connection than there is now. Now it's very fragmented. You got so many genres, you got groups of people, you got people that listen to Taylor Swift and almost nothing else, and, it's very fragmented.
All the Taylor Swift fans are going to be upset with you.
I've got nothing against Taylor Swift. I think she's great. I don't listen to her all the time, just once in a while.
I think she's great. I don't listen to her much, but I think she's great. But the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is, and I hear it all the time. I've asked this question to so many people: what does music mean? And it is the most common answer is life. It means, or it means everything to me, or it is a language all of its own. And it's interesting because, like, it just feels like music used to have more power and would be able to sway people in, not sway people, because you don't want to be like making music to control people or tell people how to think, because that's 1984 stuff. But we from history, we have seen music movements and people following music make change. And I'm just sitting here waiting, Ed, going, is it going to happen? Because if there's ever been a time in the world where we need something to like snap us out of music.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you think about it, like, every generation there's like, oh, this music is going to ruin the kids, right?
Oh yeah.
It's going to destroy the kids. The kids it's going to blow their minds. It's going to send them downhill. The whole society is going to collapse, right? But you don't really hear that now.
No.
There's not that like, oh no, this new music is going to like change everything and, corrupt all the kids. You don't hear that really.
Maybe that's
It's
because we've
different.
all been corrupted. Everything's collapsing
Could
around.
be.
Everything's
There's
collapsing
nothing
around
left.
us. So it doesn't matter anymore what music comes out because
That's
we've
possible.
the horse is bolted.
Hmm.
So if you've come here for positive, anyway,
Yeah.
there is no hope.
I'm
All right,
sorry.
see you later.
Yeah, we're done.
But it does feel like that sometimes. Like I remember back in 2017, I was writing a whole bunch of music for this album that I still haven't released, which is all about the stuff that's going on and about truth and and it's like I should have released this album ages ago, but I haven't. And you know what? The sad thing is, all the stuff that I'm writing about still is relevant, and that's not a good thing.
Hmm.
'Cause
No.
we're all bullshitting to each other. Um, Bonfire says today's music is helping the chaos. it's it's all Justin
Yeah.
Bieber's fault.
Hmm.
Maybe he should pull his pants up, and that would be a good thing.
Mm.
Music, obviously, it's been a big influence on you and your life. Do you recall some of the music that was played in your household by your family as you were growing up? Who were some of the artists? Who were the ones you hated? Who were the ones you loved and stuck by? Tell us, my friend.
Oh boy, let's see. That's pretty standard stuff, you know. There was the lots of radio, top 10 radio and stuff like that, that my parents would listen to. Um, my dad had some records. My mom had some Elvis Presley, some rock and roll stuff, from the 50s, which she loved. And so I could pop those on the 45s. And we had one of those record players with the built-in stereo. It was like a big long console thing, like a piece of furniture. Had
Yeah.
the phonograph in there and the
They have
speakers
the
and
lid that
everything.
lifted up as
Uh
well.
huh.
Yeah, we had one of those
Yeah, yeah.
too.
So one of my favorites was like Ring of Fire
Oh,
by what's his name? God, it's escaping me. I'm losing my mind. Johnny Cash. There you go.
Johnny
Yeah,
Cash, the Ring of
yeah.
Fire.
So
What was it about
yeah,
the
it
Ring of
was a
Fire
mixture.
that turned you on?
Well, I
That's a
I, I
loaded
love
question.
that song because I could feel the bass from it. It was just such a boom, 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 boom sound. It sounded so big. So that was great. So it was just kind of like a lot of pop radio and stuff like that. And my dad liked a little bit of jazz. He played clarinet in a band, so he enjoyed that. So I got a little bit of that, heard some of that. It was really like the top 40 hits and stuff like that primarily. You know, rock and roll in the 70s, Eagles, some of the lighter stuff, Barry Manilow, uh, ABBA, let's see, but not the heavy stuff so much until later. But
Because going through your music,
pretty
it
typical.
seems you have a very eclectic taste, even in like, I'm assuming in what you listen to, because obviously what you listen to reflects what comes out. What you put in is what comes out.
Hmm.
But going through all your music, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how to like describe what genre.
There's none. It's just chaos.
I think that's a good thing, man. I hate labels. What's your take on labels?
Uh-huh.
Because we hear it all the time. Labels are a necessary evil. We've got to have labels, like so we can put each other in a box. But we
Uh-huh.
don't want to do that. But it's a necessary thing. Is it?
I think they're handy, but for like it's like stuff on your shelves. You got you know, your pastries and you got your spices and
Right.
stuff like that. So you want to know where to reach the stuff, right?
Right.
But I have a way to find the darn stuff.
Right.
But I don't think I think the problem with labels is that people take them too far.
Mm.
They want the labels to they want things to fit into the box of the labels. They're like, I like this, what's in this box, give me more. I like rock, I like disco, I like jazz, I like pop, whatever. And it's it's fine if you're just exploring that stuff and learning about it, and discovering it, and you want to find some of that particular type of thing. But it's far too easy to get trapped, in that, and just like put like open Spotify or whatever, just put on like, oh, 70s rock, whatever, or 80s, progressive rock or metal, whatever, right? And just hit play. It's too easy to do that, especially now. I think that's the danger of labels, is it lets people be lazy, and makes them like, if I go outside this box, I don't know if I'm going to like it, right? I better just stay in this box. I think that's the danger.
Yeah, and from the opposite side too is once you're in that box, there's the fear of the artist. So there's the fear of the artist stepping out of the box that's been made for them.
Oh yeah.
Because you know what happens as soon as you step out of a box that your fans have built for you, then you owe them, and you're not allowed to change. You know, all this.
Yep.
There's so many bands that has happened to. They've released an album, and you go, wow, well, I didn't expect that. Some people can be okay with it and just go, wow, I didn't expect that. Well, that's cool. I'll get into it. And some people are like, I fucking hate this band now. I'm never going to listen to them again. And I'm going to fucking yell everywhere I go. And that's concerning.
Yeah, well, people that do that, I think, have that's their problem. They're acting that strongly. Like, I will never listen to this band again just because of they decided to do something experimental or different. That's a kind of a strong reaction. But I mean, hey, if that's how you feel, who am I to question it, right? But I think, I mean, there is a danger in it, certainly. But I think also, like, the true artists, the people that really, do it for the love of it, are always reaching for something beyond, something, new, that'll connect with them and with their audience.
Forrester the Wolf says here, but it confuses people when you do too many genres. You know what? People are confused just getting up out of bed each day. There are people who are. I see people every day on this planet that are confused about how to buy a bus ticket. So as an artist, I think if you're living in fear of what the people might think of your music, then I think you might be doing it wrong.
Yeah. If you're trying to, I don't want to launch into a whole thing, but I've heard a lot of musicians talk about like pandering to the audience, trying to find what the audience or the followers, their fans, are going to like, and that almost never works.
No,
because it's not, you're not following your spirit. You're trying to regurgitate something.
Yeah,
and that's not gonna fly.
And there's proof of this outside of the music industry. Of look at these. There's so many companies out there who try to create viral moments.
Yeah. Oh God.
And they sit. They sit there and scour through. I've known people who've worked in these companies. They sit there and they scour through stuff looking for viral stuff that they can promote, and it's like, motherfucker, I don't know, man. Like, you can't force virility on people. It just happens. It's so stupid the way it happens, Look at the Huck Tour girl is the perfect example. Walking around at night, gets interviewed. She talks about spitting on somebody's penis. And before you know it, how do we get here? Well, this is... I think audiences are very strange these days. The weirdest things take off.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's looking for something new and different, right?
Yeah.
And so there's always the pressure to push the boundary. What's it going to take? Just keep pushing things further and further, and see what people react to and what gets their attention. So it's a constant escalation.
I love these kind of discussions because I don't think we'll ever understand the way the music industry works. The only thing I think we can be sure of is that there's a whole bunch of rich people who are in the industry, and it's their circle, and we're not invited.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely, there's the control of the people with the money and power. Always.
Yeah.
That's why you need that underground, the punk movement. You need that, all those, movements and changes in music that were rebellious, you know, and where they rejected the commercialism and rejected the labels, and then, because people will eventually wake up. It'll work for a little while. They'll manipulate things from up in their ivory towers. They'll people will be like, oh, this is neat, this is cool, and then they'll be like, wait a minute, I'm kind of tired of this. This is kind of boring. What is this? And then somebody will come along and grab their attention with something real. That'll happen periodically.
Or we all find out that Mariah Carey, the only reason she's successful is because she sucked off the head of that record company up on the top floor of the. Well, it's true. Like, you know, she was not signed
Don't
to
know about that.
She was not signed to a label, and then she met this guy who owned the label, and now she's signed to that label. And they were a couple. So I guess.
Wow.
I guess that's all it takes.
Yeah,
So,
things happen.
So, all you got to do, folks, if you want to get a record deal, is just drop on knees and be ready to please. This show's gone off the rails already.
The rails.
Ed, do you remember the first album that you purchased or was given to you as a gift, and what format was it on? And tell us who they were, each of these albums.
Wow, let's see. I can't remember. The first record I remember actually getting myself. I think somebody bought it for me. It was can't remember the name of the band. It was the song was called "The Night Chicago Died." It was a 45, and I just played it over and over and over again. It was just I was just obsessed with it. And let's see, before that, it would have been kids' music and nursery rhymes and stuff like that on 45s, that sort of thing. And then after that, there's a gap. I can't remember too much in between, but I do remember getting the Police Synchronicity album, walking into the record store and buying that. What a good
album.
That was amazing. I remember that like it was yesterday. That was awesome. I bought it with my own money. So that was really cool. I popped that in and turned it on, and I was like, what is this? Yeah, that was awesome. So there were, that's that. And then the next one probably after that would be Steely Dan.
Yes.
I think I picked up the Decade of Steely Dan and played that. And again, I was like, what in the world is this? I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
I love it, but I don't understand it. Yeah. And that I bought myself.
So
a couple of them.
So there's a couple of them. So were you a person who, had a huge record collection? Was it a collector's thing? Did you have a crate? How did you organize this stuff? I remember I had a big crate full of records.
Yeah, I didn't have a big collection. I probably had 15, 20 albums, something like that. They were on a shelf next to some books, and I had a stereo system that my dad owned, so I'd borrow that, play them on there, nice big fat speakers. So that was fun. But it wasn't that big because I didn't have that much money, and I guess I could have spent more, but I was very selective with the albums that I got. I would get some, and I'd just play the heck out of them. So there was Steely Dan. I remember I got, let's see, Steely Dan. Man, I'm trying to remember now. I had the Police. I can't even remember a lot of them, to be honest, but there weren't that many. But I was into it big time.
So when I was collecting records, I used to do anything I could to get money to just buy more records each week. And, the thing is, you said you were being selective, and I wasn't. I would just buy albums by the record cover, especially with metal, right? Because metal had all these cool album covers, and then you bought it and you got it home and it was dog shit. So half my album collection was dog shit because of that. Because you couldn't really listen to the stuff in the shop. It was especially metal because it was not a cool thing back in those days. Metal was such an evil thing compared to these days. Let's play another track. I'm going to play this track called Akibo. Tell us about this.
Oh yeah, this was based on a little theme that my daughter came up with on her violin, and I just it was just running through my head, and I just grabbed my iPad and just tapped it out like all in one go, and recorded it, and that's pretty much what you got there. I added a little piano to it, but the main theme, I just sort of like played it out, recorded it, and I was like, oh, I'll keep that take.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was very inspired by my daughter.
All right, let's play this. If I'm getting this all right, so guys, I'm having to do the SoundCloud thing today, and SoundCloud.
Yeah.
SoundCloud, when you use the browser, it gives you an ad every second song. So I've had to move into the app. So hopefully we get everything right. This is called Akibo. Let's do it right now. Let's Oge. Beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
I just love that it's very. I mean, you sent me a whole bunch of songs to choose today, and I went through and had a listen, and I went, you know what? I like that, and I like that one, and I like this one, but I like these ones, so I picked a bunch myself too, because did you find it hard to choose songs today for this?
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah,
why is
really
that?
hard because I mean, pick stuff that is going to get played and listened to, and it's like it's a little too much focus. It's a little too much attention. Yeah, it really puts you on the spot.
Because you, like, I've known you a few years on here, and you seem like a very quiet, unassuming person who's not. You're definitely not a me. Rah, 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 look at me, everybody. But you kind of, So I would expect, like, whenever I ask people to come on this show, I always get a mix of responses of like, what can I talk about? And then when people
Right.
come on, 2 hours goes by and like that, and it's like, oh,
Oh
there's
yeah.
so much more we could have talked about because there's heaps to talk about. There never
Oh
isn't
yeah.
anything to talk about. Um, so I want to ask you: did you ever hunger for playing music when you were at school? Were you driven to do more at school? And did you do any formal music education? And did you have to learn the recorder?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, let me start with the recorder.
Sure.
We did play recorder in high school. No, I'm sorry, junior high. Yeah, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it because I wasn't very good at it, and I didn't like the sound of it. It sounded off key to me. All the notes sounded slightly off key. It really bothered me.
You just didn't like putting wood in your mouth.
Yeah, that's one way to say
I,
it. But well, to go back to the beginning though, like you're asking, like as far as starting out, I was always interested in music, always fascinated by music. I mean, composers like from when I was a kid, like Beethoven, Bach, those guys, they just fascinated me. Like, how did these guys come up with this stuff? Even when I was a kid, I was like, wait a minute, how could a single person, you know, come up with this and then say, okay, write this all down and then give it to a group of people and say, play this, and it all fit together, and sounds amazing. I mean, even as a kid, I was like amazed by that. Just my mind was just blown. How could this how could you possibly do this? And so that always fascinated me. I thought, like, I'm just a kid, right? Maybe when I grow up, I could do something like that, along those lines. Like, I mean, when you're a kid, you dream big, right?
of
You know,
course, and you should.
um,
You should dream big all
yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. So, I always thought, well, maybe I could do something, really cool musically, right? But, you know, so I signed up for organ lessons when I was in grade school. And, but it turns out though that, that requires a lot of commitment. Those lessons require commitment and discipline. I was more interested in, like, sitting there thinking about music than actually playing music.
I do that now.
Yeah. So yeah, I did get some instruction, and I learned how to read music, which was really, really helpful. I'm really grateful for that, because I was able to read basic things. I'm still not a great reader, but I can read the basic things, which is a great help. And so when somebody says, "Oh, a C chord," yeah, I know what that is, and stuff like that. I can read that stuff, basic stuff. So, yeah, I did get a little bit that way from, from a teacher, from organ lessons, which I did for a few years. But I didn't get real far because I didn't practice enough. I should have practiced more and been more diligent at it. Fain, Frankly, I found it rather daunting. It's like what I want to be is here, where I am is like here, and the gap is so huge. It's like, how am I ever going to get, to that point, like that. I'd see these people, they'd be amazing. I'm like, do, I'm like, wow, you know, I got a long way to go. I don't
Eh,
know about this.
but they would
So
do too,
yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
thing.
So yeah, but the thing is, like, I never lost my love for music though. It was hard to get that. I didn't have the discipline. Like now, if you were to turn back putting me in a time machine and put me back, I mean, I'd be like on that organ like hours. You'd have to peel me off that thing, you know, because I have the right mindset now. I have the discipline, or at least more discipline, you know, and I know what hard work means, and I know what it requires to get somewhere, you know, and I've seen the results. So I would approach it differently now. But probably the pivotal moment came for me when I was in college, my first year of college. I was taking a music appreciation class, which we were required to take for liberal arts, and uh, and I had a great teacher. He played some stuff from Stravinsky, and he played Weather Report, which I thought was interesting because I thought, oh, we're just going to study Beethoven and Bach, and they're going to be talking about all this long hair stuff, right? And it's going to be real boring, and I'm going to just want to go to sleep, right, and go home and listen to the police or something like that, right? But the opposite happened. I was listening in class, and he was explaining, like, okay, here's this is what Bach is doing here. Now he takes the notes and he flips them upside down. And then in the next section, they do it backwards. And I was like, you can do that? You can like take the notes and like flip them around. I was like, wow, that's wild, right? And then he would play things in a minor key and a major key, and I was like, oh, now I get it. There's a difference between major and minor, and I can hear exactly what it is. So it was like suddenly the doors started to open. All these doors and things open in my mind, like just all of a sudden, just like entire brand new dimensions of possibilities opened at that point. It's hard to describe, really. And then he played Weather Report. So first it was Rite of Spring, and then I think maybe that same week or a little bit later, he played Birdland from Weather Report. And in both cases, I was just like, I was listening to these things, and they gave us a record to take home to play with. I mean, we bought it, but it was for the class, and it had all the stuff on it, and I could play it at home. And I played those over and over and over and again. And I was like, this is crazy. I've never heard anything like this. I heard Bach, Beethoven, but I hadn't heard Stravinsky up to that point. And that really opened my mind up. So at that point, I was like, oh man, I've got to find out more about this, and then that sort of kickstarted my journey into really trying to understand music and, get deeper into it and explore different types of music, jazz, all sorts of stuff like that. So I'll pause there for a second. Yeah.
So it's really amazing with classical music, because with a lot of classical artists that we highly regard now, like upper echelon, during the time that they were releasing that music, nobody gave a horse's dick. Nobody cared. These
Right.
people were nothing, And it wasn't
Right.
until some of them fucking literally died until their music was like, oh, hang on a minute. What did we miss? It's the same with art as well, too.
Yeah.
A lot of artists were just nothing until they died, and then their art was sold. It's funny because classical music is, in my opinion, something that drives so many other styles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got into classical music through metal.
Yeah.
Because it leans itself so much to the progressions of metal and progressive metal, all that kind of stuff. The licks, the way it's played, it's very orchestral and symphonic. It's an amazing.
Totally.
I listen to it all the time now. It's one of my favorite styles of music. Did you know you when you try and release classical music on a streaming service, you can't do it because they don't allow you to choose classical.
Oh, I never noticed that because I've never tried. So that's probably why I didn't notice.
I think Apple has
Interesting.
their own classical music app.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
I think they do. Yeah, there it is. Apple. I'm trying to find it here. Apple Music Classical. Here it is.
Yeah.
So they have separated all the classical music into its own genre in their section, and the only way you can hear it is through the Apple. It's a bizarre choice. I don't know. I guess to stop people releasing music that they deem as classical, but it's fucking no, it's not.
Well, yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could be. I mean, because if you let people, label whatever they want as classical, and then just throw that under classical, when people tune in, they're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, you have to have some curation there.
Let's say hello to folks who are here in the chat. We'll continue this conversation because I see there's a whole bunch of you. So if you want me to call your name out, type something, anything, words, I'll find you. Forrester the Wolf, Tristan Green, Bonfire, Thomas Christ. Who else is here? Let me scroll up a little bit. Try and find some people. Dell, Joe, Gary Hubbs. Who else? Frank Terzo. Tremor Bear. Hello, hello, hello. We had Pete Johns earlier called in. SM Borthwick. Hello to you. Let's see if I can find anyone else. Scrolling up. Jenny Jolivet.
Hey.
Felcrow. Hello, Felcrow. And Mix Club. G'day, g'day.
All right.
Robbie Ferrero. Trying to get as many as I can. If I've missed you, Guzzo of Oz down the bottom there. I see you clicking out. Jamie Lynn. There you go. I called your name out, Jamie. Jamie has recently become a fan of the channel, watching Walk With Me and stuff. So welcome. Welcome, Jamie.
Fantastic.
All right. So we got... so did you want to play in a band with people, Ed? Was there ever that drive to get in a stinky old rehearsal room with shitty microphones, pay a shitload of money each weekend just so you can jam and not hear yourself?
I would have liked to. I certainly would like to. I mean, like some people just want to be in a band. Like that's their thing, like that is it. I guess I felt like being in a band, I don't know. I guess I didn't have enough friends that would have been, like, I guess if you have a group of friends that, play instruments and they're like, hey, maybe we should get a band together, then it seems like it's something that might happen. But at least in my experience, I really didn't know anybody that, like, I knew people in the school band, that's different, jazz band or whatever, orchestra, stuff like that. I knew people like that, but I didn't really know of any people in my circle that were in bands or interested in bands. So I don't think I didn't really see a way to get there, and I'm sure that, obviously if you want to do it, you go out and find a way to do it. Right. So the drive wasn't really there. I mean, it would have been cool. I think I would certainly, like, if I went back in time, I'd be much more interested now because, I've had a chance to see, what bands can do. At that point, I don't think I really didn't understand what bands were about and what it could be like, and that there was so many different ways, that bands could work. I just saw rock bands and stuff like that. I just thought, well, you're either, out there, touring the US and the world or whatever, and, living the glam life or whatever, or, you're in some, van driving around trying to not run out of gas between, one place and the next.
Yes.
I didn't really have a clear picture of it, or maybe that is a pretty clear picture. See, I don't know.
It's funny, Ed, when I was at school in year 12, we had this experimental year of, so basically the education system was changing here.
Oh,
and the government decided here in my state where I live, we're going to do a trial of this new course. And my school was part of this trial. So in year 12, my final year of school, I signed up for this VCE music course, they called it. And basically they were looking for guitarists, singers, all this kind of stuff. And I auditioned as a singer, but they already had enough singers. So they took me in as a guitarist. And then once I got in the course, I realized, oh no, I have to be good. Because all these guys are really good. And I had no idea how the curriculum was going to work. And how it worked was they separated all the students into 3 separate bands. They went, here's a band, here's a band, here's a band. And they said, right, you got to learn 50 songs in 3 months. And here's your first song. And the first song they threw at us was Love Shack by B-52s. And I had no idea how to play that on guitar. I had no idea how to read sheet music. The sheet music was in front of me. So what did I do? I just turned down the volume on the amp and just pretended to play. Because somehow, Ed, I thought I would get out of it that way. And the teacher stopped the song into the first minute and went, somebody's not playing. And all eyes went on me. And he went, you can't read sheet music, can you? And I went, no. And he goes, well, fuck. Well, we're fucked, aren't we? Luckily enough for me, Ed, the next day, the singer of the band I was in never returned. And so everybody looked at me and went, can you sing at least? And I was like, that's what I'm here for, motherfucker.
Nice.
But that if I wasn't a part of that school band, I would never have learnt all the things that you fucking learn on the road as a band the hard way, right?
Mm-hmm.
The running out of
Mm-hmm.
gas, the fucking not having a hotel room booked, all the
Mm-hmm.
really fucking important stuff that can derail a tour. And so for my $500 that it cost me to do that course, it was the greatest. It was probably the greatest band I've ever played in because everything went right and all the trouble was out of my hands. I used to roll up and sing and it was great. But
Wow.
I don't think they do that here in Australia anymore. Here in Victoria, I think
Oh,
they
man.
ran that course for like 5 years, and then
Yeah.
they scrapped it. And it was probably one of the worst things they did because it's one of the things that destroys bands, destroys people coming together because all they know is I play music. Let's make music.
Mm-hmm.
And all that other stuff, man, that's the stuff that fucks you over big time. The
Mm-hmm.
booking gigs, getting paid,
Oh, yeah.
fuel, getting everyone's money for rehearsals. It is a money pit that you just can't get out of. So anyway, there's my take on playing in bands.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I had been lucky enough, to have been presented with that, it's possible I might have given a shot. If like if a friend of mine or something might have gone into it, I might say, oh, I'll give it a try too. You never know. People that might have been on the fence about that, might have jumped at the chances. I know there's a lot of people that, they just didn't have the opportunity, or they were just kind of like, on they were interested, but not enough to go out there and like, just chase it down. Which I think there's something to be said for kind of, letting the people that really, really want it go get it. But there's also something to be said for creating situations where people can try something and feel like, okay, even if I fail, I just took a course, right? What's the big deal?
Yeah.
So I think that's great.
Ed, they have these hotel rooms you can book in Japan. When I went to Japan on tour with my band when I was a lot younger, the first thing I wanted to do was, of course, go to buy some video games, arcade games or whatever. But the second thing I wanted to do was go to one of these hotels because what they promise, Ed, is a genuine 100% rock star experience.
Really?
Yeah. So you pay your money and you go in there with your bandmates or your friends, however many. We had 5.
Okay.
And you go into the hotel room and there's all this stuff in the hotel room that you're allowed to smash.
Oh, okay, I get it.
They call them, I think they still have them now. I think they call them anger rooms now in Japan.
Okay.
So it kind of diversified over the years because this was back in the 90s that I went and experienced this. And it was so cool. They had guitars and you could just smash the guitars against and you could throw the TV out the window, Ed. And they had nets.
Okay.
that would catch the TV.
That's crazy.
It was fucking,
I mean, they are committed, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're committed.
It was fucking awesome. And I had
so
much fun throwing a TV set out the window. And I was like, holy shit, this is what it's like to be a rock and roll star. And then I actually got to stay in a hotel and realize if I do any of this stuff, my credit is fucked forever.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Because you can't do that in real life. So, yeah, playing in bands. So in your bio, you say that you are an audiophile.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me what an audiophile is, Ed.
Well, I can only give you my version of it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, obviously. Everybody's going to disagree about what an audiophile is. My version is, like I see myself as a person who loves great sound. And I'm kind of like the nerdy audiophile. Like there's different types of audiophiles. I'm the nerdy audiophile, where, like I love great sound and I love great recordings, but I also love to nerd out on tweaking things like, ooh, maybe if I use this cable or if I get this power supply that's super clean, or I took my amp apart, actually, like I have this big this was about 20 years ago now, but I got this big amplifier, and the thing weighs about 95 pounds, right? And you open it up, and there's a giant toroidal transformer in there. It's the thing, probably it's about 50 pounds of copper, and it's in the shape of like probably the size, like, what would it be, like, you could rest a basketball inside it, and it would fit nicely in that shape, right? um and in the middle of it, there's a metal post that holds the thing down with a plate. And I was talking to somebody, and they're like, "Oh man, you should get that out of there, because that's iron, and it's going to affect the magnetic field, from the transformer." So I took it apart, and I took that thing out and put it back together. God darn it, it sounded better, right? So, like, that's the nerdy aspect of it. And I went crazy. I had like little pieces of wood, special wood under the components, to reduce vibrations, all this crazy stuff. I had a thing called a Bedini clarifier. I know I'm getting off on a tangent here, but
No.
I'll come back. There's this thing called a Bedini clarifier. It's this little handheld thing. It's a little, it looks like a remote with a little piece on it, like that you would put a record on, except it holds a CD. It's a little round piece. You pop the CD on there and push a button. It spins the CD around at a real high speed, and it goes, like that, and it demagnetizes the CD supposedly. And again, I can't understand how this works, but you would put the CD in, and it would sound better.
Wow.
I swear to you, I don't know how that works. I studied some physics. I can't explain it. There's a lot of people that don't believe in it. They're like, that can't possibly change the sound, right? It doesn't make any sense. I heard it with my own two ears. So that's the kind of audiophile I was like. So I went out and bought these very expensive speakers, not super expensive, but I mean, I spent a good chunk of money on these speakers that weighed about 70 pounds a piece, and an amplifier, a CD player, a preamplifier. Spent a couple $100 on cables just to hook the things up. And I would line things up, and till the sound was just like centered in the room, where you could actually hear all the instruments. The sound would come from behind the speakers, to the left and right of the speakers. If you sat in the right place, it sounded like you're like in a giant auditorium, stuff like that.
Do you think poorly recorded songs sound good on a good stereo?
Generally, no.
Eh,
It's probably the worst thing to do, is play a poorly recorded song on a good stereo, because it reveals every limitation and flaw,
doesn't it? Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah.
It's interesting being an audiophile, or whatever it is that you buy and you want to take up. I swear to God, you these days, I guess it was the same back then, not just these days. But whatever it is you go out and buy these days, there's something, you always need something else, another 8 things to go
Yeah.
with it. My
Yeah.
bike. So I bought a bike to do bike with me. That's not all I need, because I need a fucking helmet. I need a bike chain. I need a fucking water
Yep.
bottle. I need a light. And it just never ends. I got a fish tank, and I just
Yeah.
thought, there's a fish tank. Put some fish in, some plastic things, and just leave it alone. No, it needs a fucking filter. No, it needs a little fucking thing. And all this stuff just constantly adds up just to have an experience. The good thing is, like with audio and stuff like that, normally if you spend good money on speakers and an amp and all that kind of stuff, you're pretty good for about 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Or more. Yeah.
Yeah. I still have my stuff. Yeah. And it's still good.
Yeah. That's it. And have you felt pressured to buy new stuff? Because we're constantly being told, right? So especially as audiophiles. So there's a bunch of channels I follow that are audiophile channels, and they're constantly talking about the production of music, and I notice a lot of people constantly like buying new speakers and buying. Do you think we're at a point where the stuff we have is already fucking amazing, and we don't need to upgrade all the time?
Yeah, I think so. I think like the technology has advanced to the point, this happened in the last 20 years or so where you can buy like stuff at Best Buy or, your local, you know, just, stereo, it's not stereo anymore. What is it? The electronic stores, they're like washers, dryers, whatever, right?
Yep.
And TVs, right? You can buy stuff off the shelf there and it's going to sound fantastic. You don't have to go look in the hi-fi section. There is no hi-fi section anymore, because that stuff's all specialized now. So yeah, I agree. I think, 95% of the time you can get absolutely amazing sounds, high quality sound, that really should be sufficient for just about anybody, right? Just down the street. But, people are always like, they always feel like there's another level. Like if I could just buy this next one up,
Yeah.
it's going to sound better, and I'll feel better when I listen to it, and it's going to be cool, and it's got more buttons on it, right? And it's got this thing I can do where I can program it to, the sound tunes itself to my room, right? Or I can adjust it to play jazz versus pop versus rock, right? And all these, and I can hook it up to my computer, and it's like, when does it end? Right? It's endless.
Yeah, so true. Like it, and it's like it's so bizarre with the amount of new stuff. Like I saw, I woke up this morning. There's a whole bunch of new Arturia stuff that's just dropped, and I'm looking
Yeah.
at it going, wow, what is that sound? It's version 11 now of their sounds, and they've got a new keyboard. And the first thing that goes through your head, like you can't help it, it's just instinctual. You see it and go,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that looks good. I wonder fucking how much that is. Oh, check this. And then you look at it
Mm-hmm.
all and go, I don't fucking need any of this.
Yep.
I
That's right.
already have way too much shit that I don't use. Why am I looking at this? But it's there. It's constantly
Yeah.
tugging at you, going, oh, but you could have this, and you'll be so much better. And it's not true. Thank you,
Yeah.
Gmay, for the kind donation. There he is. Gmay, Camp Gmay, if you don't know his channel, he does these amazing festivals. And there was supposed to be one a couple of weeks ago. It got cancelled because StreamYard's a bag of shit. But it's been relocated, I think, to the first week in May. I think I'm right. He can put the date in there anyway. But thank you, Camp Gmay, for the kind donation. We're going to play a song right now, another song, and then we're going to have a little break. And this one I've chosen is Beastmaster. That's how I have to say it. Beastmaster. All right. What, tell us about this track, Ed.
That's an early one. It's an early one I created on the iPad Mini several years ago. It's just a bunch of Apple loops I threw together. I imagine myself as like this, sort of DJ kind of person at that point, putting Apple loops together and stringing them together and, throwing this on and people dancing in a crowd. That's what was in my mind. Not like that was going to happen, but that was the vibe I was going for with this. Yeah, just something that people could dance and groove to and have fun and rave to, whatever.
Rave. So everybody get your ecstasy, shove it down your throat, and let's dance. this is Beastmaster. All right, let's ode. Have I got everything unmuted? Yeah, I do. Let's do it. I'm doing okay with the stop and the song.
Nice.
Dude, that's awesome. So what you're probably hearing today with all the songs that we're playing, they're all extremely different. Yeah, it's so very eclectic, you know. Oh yeah, it's our halfway point of the show. Let me do this.
Aha.
We get to run an ad, everybody. First I'll say hello to Laurie, Joel, g'day. Anyone I've missed that has come in, I think I said hi to Costa. Scrolling up, Dirk Remington. Anyone that I may have missed, welcome aboard. Hello to you. So we're going to run our ad. You can avoid the ad by becoming a YouTube Premium subscriber or by just skipping the ad and waiting, and we'll come back and we'll help you out there. Let's run the ad. The ad has been run, and while that ad is being run, I just need to cover a couple of things. Give me a second, because coming up tomorrow, I don't have a thumbnail yet. I can't give you a thumbnail. I'm so sorry, everybody. Can't give you a thumbnail because I'm still editing, but tomorrow here on the channel is Walk With Me. And there you go. Look at that. We've got a full perspective there. So Walk With Me tomorrow is Bike With Me. So this is fully unedited, and I'm editing it today to be up on the channel tomorrow. So that is Bike With Me, episode 3, season 6. Let me come back over here. And let me tell you, the last thing before we get back into this interview is, once again, this week here on the channel, the 1 hour song challenge is happening on Saturday. The 4 categories of music are up on my community tab. I can't remember what they are, so you'd have to go and find them yourself. I did them last night, and I have no idea what I picked. Let me tell you. What I picked. Hang on. We'll do this. I'll come back over here. So the songs that got picked, the genres that got picked for the 1 hour song challenge this week include horror movie score, blues, grindcore, or jazz. You can find that on the community tab of the channel. Let's get back into it. So, Ed, you go through school. I'm so used to that call that you get from Clubhouse.
It's an alarm.
It's an alarm.
It's an alarm. I didn't silence it properly.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. Thanks, Thomas, for putting a link in there to go vote for what song you want me to create this week. So what happens? You get out of school. Does music just evaporate? What happens? Did you meet someone? Did family happen? Did work happen? What happened in between leaving school and then following your dreams of music?
Yeah, and then landing here. Whoa, it's crazy.
Yeah.
This channel, it's amazing. Amazing to be here. So what happened in between, right? Oh, gosh, I mean, I guess, it was like I went through phases in college. There was that freshman course I talked about where I just really it just blew my mind. It just broke open those new directions in my mind of classical music and what it could be, and a little bit of jazz too. So then it was like, at that point though, it was like my life was pretty much like, okay, I need to establish myself, establish a job, get a career going, and then see where things go, And so it was just years and years of just, hitting the pavement out there, working, coming home, working long hours in my job, coming home and, reading books, a lot of sci-fi. I didn't have a TV for several years. That helped quite a bit, actually, with developing my reading and also my commitment to music. It helped quite a bit. And in there, I spent, like 6 months. I think I really, in my mid-20s, I decided to get a guitar and try to learn guitar, but I only did it for about 6 months, and then I just couldn't sustain it. For whatever reason, I had a teacher. I guess I had a good teacher, and then that teacher had to change his schedule. I couldn't make it anymore, and there was just so much going on. I just got frustrated. I was like, all right, I'm going to come back to this later, and then I didn't until like many, many years later. So it was just years of just trying to live life, just trying to get by, keep working, making money, saving money, things like that. And then, but music was always there. I was always very interested in what was going on music in terms of like the stuff on the radio. I was like, what's happening in music right now. I was always very in tune with the pulse of like pop radio, because that was really all I knew how to follow. Primarily was like what was on top 40 radio and stuff like that. I feel bad about that now that I didn't diversify more.
Why would you
it was
feel
harder
bad
then.
about that? Why would you feel bad about it? I love pop music.
Well, I listen to you, Jade, and people, that, that awful music from whatever, it's like you had, like you were in the metal scene, right? You went out there and went off the beaten path. I feel like
yeah, but I came back. I came back.
Okay, yeah, you did. You did.
A lot of
But
metalheads don't. A lot of metalheads get stuck out there, and they just they wonder why all their shit sounds exactly the same. It's because they're not like opening up their mind to anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I guess I was a big Barry Manilow fan when I was a kid.
Good.
I was just adored him. And then I don't know. Now I feel a little conflicted about it. I feel like on the one hand, I like Barry Manilow. I still like Barry Manilow, but then I encounter a lot of people that are just like, no, sorry, can't listen to that. Nope.
So fucking wild.
So I mean, I'm not going to stop. I still listen to him from time to time, because I think he's very talented. But I think I understand some of it, though. I don't want to get off on a tangent here I'm going to go off a little bit of a tangent for your question, about the journey on music here. But I think the thing is, Barry Manilow leans a little too hard into the schmaltz. I think that's probably where people have an issue.
I haven't heard that word schmaltz for ages.
But that kind of resonates with me. Like when I like something, I like just dive into it like deeper. When I encountered Stravinsky, I was like, what is this? And I would just play it over and over and over again. And when I encountered like Al Jarreau in the 80s, I don't know, some people might be familiar with him.
Yes.
He was like jazz, but kind of like pop. He hit the pop scene. He kind of crossed over into the pop a little bit there. And, so I just love that stuff. And I just couldn't get enough of it, and I would talk to my friends and they were into like metal and Triumph and Rush and all this stuff. And I was like, I mean, I get it, but it just doesn't move me in the same way. It doesn't hit me in the same way. So I don't know, there's a part of me that just wants to, like, when I hear something, just go all into it and just go crazy and just absorb, just dive into it, absorb it completely. But then there's a part of me, it's like, whoa, take it easy, dude. Don't go crazy, take it easy there, keep some balance.
Now, I don't know if you have kids or not, but like, I think if I didn't, I'm not going to go too deep into it. I think if people didn't have kids, they wouldn't be aware of a lot of today's pop music. Is that a fair call?
That's true. Yeah.
And we all,
I hear people talk about that all the time.
Yeah, we definitely wouldn't know what a skibbity toilet is if it wasn't for our kids.
That's for sure.
Do you know what a skibbity toilet is?
Somebody told me or I saw it, but I can't remember right now. I should, but I don't remember.
No, you probably shouldn't.
No, I know it's one of those things.
Yeah, there's a lot of those things that are around there where you just go, really?
Huh?
Hang on a minute. Like, did I take acid somewhere and fucking get off at the wrong stop or what? What's going on? But hey, because and I think it's a fair call to say that as a musician, there's a lot of people jaded with the current music industry.
Yeah.
Because I think it's always been a given. There's a lot of acts that aren't. We've always had big stars in pop music and, your big main players, in every genre.
Yep.
But there's also been a lot of crap that has been manufactured and pushed onto people, which has diluted the music industry. Do you listen to pop music of your own accord these days, like top 40 stuff?
I do, just to keep in touch with it primarily. Yeah, just to keep the pulse, keep my finger on the pulse. I at this point, I try to expose myself to as much different music as possible, within reason. I try to listen to jazz. I listen to hip hop. I try to listen to different decades. I try to listen to metal. I try to listen to hair metal. I try to listen to, everything I get my hands on, anything I get on YouTube. I'm always searching for things. So, because I want to understand, there's some people out there that like that stuff. There's got to be a reason. Everybody can't just be, crazy or just, under the influence of somebody else or the industry. There's got to be something behind it. If there's a group of people listening to it, there's got to be something that's happening. And I'm always interested in what is happening in these different scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to get angry at that music and go, oh, fucking. But I guess you get to a point where you go, you know what? Does it affect me?
Right.
Are people enjoying it? Then that's all that matters, really, isn't it? Like, do I understand it? No. Do I have to? No. Again, I reckon when I was younger, Ed, I would probably hunt those people down. If I was, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
If I was 18 now, I would probably seek out Swifties and haunt them on the internet and say terrible things to them. I would troll them all day long, but I was a different person then. But these days, I don't care about Swifties. Does Swifties affect you?
No. I mean, I don't get it, but then I don't think I need to. I mean, I like Taylor Swift's early stuff. I love her early stuff. Her more recent stuff, I feel like it's a little too popified. I feel like it's a little bit formulaic. I mean, she's still amazing. I mean, no doubt about it. Nobody does the things the way she does things. Nobody does that exactly the same way and creates those songs and crafts those songs. I mean, she's so talented. But I love her old stuff. I think it's just a lot different and a lot more authentic to me. So I have no problem with Swifties. I just feel like they're they've sort of fallen into a brand mentality, I think, is how I feel.
Yeah, and unfortunately a part of a political movement, which I like music that plays a. We mentioned this at the start of the show, how music used to help change societies. It impacted it. It talked about things that we felt like we couldn't talk about. But I don't think it was ever at the point where it was like I put all my support behind a candidate. That certainly doesn't make me want to vote for somebody because Taylor Swift puts her hand up. I'd rather her put her hand up my skirt instead of that. But that's not going to happen, is it?
I guess not.
We'll never know.
Hey, maybe she's watching.
Let's play a song before that gets out of hand. This is Mama Is Never Around. Let's play this track and we'll talk about it when we get back. Let's urge, baby. Oops. Hang on a minute. Let me get this thing sorted out. Here we go. Now, there's a lot of short tracks in here. So tell us about, we've got all these, so I'll just show you guys. Let me bounce over here. So Ed has all the music today that I'm pulling this, Ed's music from is from his SoundCloud. The link is in the description. Now, you've had this SoundCloud for a while. Tell us about how you got this off the ground and what people can find when they come over to your SoundCloud here. Oops, I've got you muted. There we go. Sorry.
All right. Got it. Oh boy. Let's see. Well, it's going to be a random. You call it eclectic. I call it random.
Right.
A random mix of different things. And they're all pretty. There's mostly done with GarageBand. You're going to find different things: rock, EDM, a little bit of dance stuff in there, mellow stuff, melodic stuff, just a mixture of different things. And really it's a little slice of like all the songs that I've created. It's just a tiny little slice of songs that I've managed to piece together and put enough stuff. I think we're like, yeah, I think this maybe qualifies as a song, because honestly, it's tough. It's tough for me to assemble a whole song and arrange it and stuff like that. I mean, I look at you and you got 20 tracks. I'm like, man, I'd love to be able to do that. So it's pretty basic stuff. It's pretty. But I think probably the common theme about it is like to me, it's all kind of stuff that to me is kind of catchy and fun and has a certain vibe to it. To me, that's the key, is to capture a vibe and a spirit of some sort, and have some words that try to make words that make sense, but sometimes that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't happen, and we put so much work into these little pieces and full songs and albums, and you know what? Sometimes they don't work out. I've got at least 1,000 of those didn't work out songs that are sitting in my Logic and my GarageBand projects. Let's move to that. So you were given an iPad Mini. How did that change things musically for you?
It opened a whole new dimension. I mean, that's when I really started deciding to start creating music, because I didn't have the tools before that. I used to sit at the organ and try to write down things on a sheet of music paper, that blank music notation paper, and I might have it somewhere. It's like 5 notes, do 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 do, and maybe a couple of chords, and that was about as far as I could get. So that's tough. It's tough going when you're working at from pencil and paper, and even a keyboard instrument like that, right? And then you grab something like an iPad, you open up GarageBand, and it's like you hit play and take an Apple loop and drop it into a track, and it's like, oh, listen to that, and then you just keep looping it, and then you open up a keyboard, and then you go do 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 do, right, and then you go, oh, let me add some drums to that. You open up and add some percussion, a percussion loop or whatever, right, and then suddenly you've got like a full song. Well, I mean, maybe not a full song, but you've got like all the elements of a song and a band, like with a few clicks. It was just incredible. I really hadn't owned any Apple products prior to that. Never had an iPad. It was the first time I got it, but that was one of the first apps that I tried, and I was just blown away. I would spend hours on that thing every day. As soon as I got home from work, I'd be on that thing playing around, and it was amazing. That's how I got started. And then I was like, this, I can work with this. This is going to give me the ability to actually, create something that has more than just one line on it, just a melody line or something, right? So yeah, that was the start.
It's interesting with GarageBand, because I was first introduced to GarageBand on one of my friends' Macs. It was in my band at the time. And I was recording at that time, I think, on I had an 8-track mini disc. And I was recording everything on that. It's all built in. It's got its own little desk. You put the mini discs in.
Yep.
It's all contained. No computer needed. And I first saw GarageBand on my guitarist computer, and he was showing it to me, and fully, this is in, what are we talking? Early 2000. Yeah, so around
Mm-hmm.
2001 kind of thing. And I saw it and saw how easy it was to make music with, and did exactly what I shouldn't have done and gone, fuck that. I make music the real way.
Yeah.
And I pushed back so hard against it. And was like,
Uh-huh.
no way, this is bullshit. This means anyone can make music. I was a different person back then, I was a gatekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people, there have been gatekeepers at certain times, and you grow out of that. And when I came across GarageBand on iOS later on, it was like, why did I think this was such a bad thing?
Uh-huh.
Because
well, yeah,
you can have a band in it. That's the thing. You don't need to play all the instruments.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's such a game changer and such a completely different way of doing things, right? I think a lot of times the gut reaction is like, what is this? I don't understand it, and to like be like, no, I this shouldn't be, or there's something wrong here. There's got to be something wrong with this, right?
Yeah.
Which I totally understand.
Yeah. It's
also, I think I see within you the desire to create things yourself and in your own way. And that I could see that being a threat to you, because, it's like pouring you into a box and then turning the crank like a little, like one of those little Jack in the Box things, right? Right. And that would be like, that's my image of like what you thought would happen when you try to plug yourself into that, is it would turn you into a machine. That's my vision of it. That's what I envision. I don't know if you could tell me what you think.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it the wrong way, because I was, here's the thing, being in a band is great.
Yeah.
And performing and all those kind of things. The downside of being in a band is you're in it with other people.
Yeah.
And and like, we all know what it's like to just have friendships and relationships. 5 people who've all got, outside of the band, their own problems, their own relationships, their own friendships, their own family problems. And then you all come together once a week to be in a room, and you have a quick catch up on everyone's problems, which you don't have enough time to really delve into it. And then you start playing, and it's like being married to 5 fucking people. And except I didn't get a cool wedding out of it, or a reception, or any wedding gifts. So I think too, with GarageBand, I don't know why I looked at it like that. It could have been like, back then, heaven sent, because then I wouldn't have to deal with people in my band.
Yeah.
But these days, yeah, I think GarageBand's amazing. I think more people, it's so beautiful to see people who don't have any musical talent, or not talent, or experience, be able to make fantastic stuff. This thing, I see Joel's written here in the chat, and now that's how I feel about AI. AI is a little bit different. I mean,
yeah,
I keep hearing people say, oh, AIs can be great for generating ideas and stuff like that. But the way AI music works at the moment is not like that. It's taking other people's music and generating from that. So it's rehashing people's ideas without their consent. So it's a bag of shit. It's not a really cool thing. But the thing is, we already have GarageBand and Logic that allows you to do these kind of cool things, to add your own drums with the auto drummer and add your own bass lines, and you don't need AI if you don't have any skills making music. And if you're going down that path, you probably should slap yourself in the face and go have a hard think about it in the corner. So we
absolutely.
When you first got GarageBand, because here's the thing, GarageBand's free. You got your iPad, it's free.
Right.
You put it on there. Did you just start making and just going for it and end up with like 101 project number 44?
Yeah. It was song one, song two, my song three, my song four. Yeah. For a while there. Yeah. Yeah. I just kept cranking stuff out. I was just like, in Disneyland. It was like, you know, welcome to Disneyland. You can come every day, stay all day, ride as many rides as you want, and try anything you want, eat all the food, try all the rides. And it was just endless. I mean, for a while there, it was just incredible. I would be like, oh, here's a guitar. Oh, wait, here's a pipa. If that's how you say it, I don't even know how you say that, an air hoop. What?
No, Pipa, yeah. I don't know.
Pipa? Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
so.
erhu, I mean, in GarageBand, it's all these crazy instruments, right? And the percussions, the drums. I mean, I started like trying, wait, what's this? What's this sound? What's that sound? And this was before I got all the add-ons, this was just straight up GarageBand. And then you could open up the guitar and you could play on the frets with your fingers and bend the strings and all that stuff. I mean, I just went crazy for years. I would just go in there and start messing around with things. I had no idea what I was doing, but you know, but it just sparked my creativity. I think it was great because it was basically like it was like I wanted to bring this up. This is a good time to bring this topic up or concept up in this interview, which is like I feel like when I discovered music and really started to dig into it, it's like I went through my whole childhood, but in terms of music. So it was like I was like the kid who discovered the shaker thing with the no that makes noise, and the blocks and all the little toys that make noise and things like that and banging on things. That was me in GarageBand. Like being a little kid, just, oh, what's this? Let me try this. Let me try that. Oh, let's
True.
go here. Let's try this. I mean, it was just like unbridled creativity. I think if anybody would have walked in on me and heard what I was doing, they would have been like, what the hell? What are you doing? What is all that noise? But I was just like exploring, not judging in any way. I mean, I was judging. I was like, how can I do better? But I wasn't stopping and going, oh, that's crap. That's crap. This is crap. That's crap. I was like, wait, maybe that's not quite what I want. Maybe let me try something else. And I just kept building. And that went on for years, for a few years, where I was really in that very like open-minded creative period, just like a child.
We're going to play another track. Then we're going to bring this thing home. We got just under 30 minutes. Thank you all for being here today and hanging out, my friends. We're going to play this one, I think. Dream of the Blue Monkeys. What's this song about? What's this?
It's just a jazzy tune that I created from Band in a Box with my own chord progression.
I didn't open with this, did I? No, I didn't. All right, cool. I opened with In a Monk. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Dream of the Blue Monkeys is different. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. All right, let's do it, folks. You ready? Let's rock and roll. Let's do it. Get all this sound rocking. Man, this is so hard to set up with SoundCloud. Let's set it up.
I think this is Band in a Box.
It is.
Maybe
Yeah.
not.
Maybe it's
is it?
not.
Okay.
Hang on.
Oh, maybe it's not. I lose track.
Hang on. Let me make sure I've got the right track. This one says a mix of new age classical and experimental piano with an ambient feel. So let's do it.
I can't remember if I created in Band in a Box or GarageBand, to be honest.
We're going to find out right now. Let's go. Hopefully we won't get an ad. Let's try it. Oops, I've got an ad right now. Awesome. Here we go. Let's try it. Hang on a minute. We got it. Man, SoundCloud is such a difficult thing to work with. Let me tell you that. All right, let's do it now. Let's oge. That was fucking beautiful.
Thank you. I remember now. I remember what I created it in ChordBot, an app. Man, I can't even remember how I created my
I
own
know.
music. It's
Hey,
terrible.
it shows how much choice we have to be able to make stuff with these days. And speaking of, let's talk about your YouTube channel because it's one of
Yeah.
my favorite channels. Now, here on this channel, we cover a whole lot of things. So it's kind of apfotainment kind of thing because we do app reviews, about making music, rants, walks, live perform. It's fucking everything over here. But over
Oh
there
yeah.
on your channel, and here it is right here. Um, how would you explain your channel if it was an elevator pitch?
Oh boy, I hate elevator pitches, but let me. Yeah, I'll make it short because I hate long elevator pitches. It's really, it's basically for apps that I love. This is a collection of tutorials on various apps that I personally love and enjoy. Um, I talk a little bit about music theory here and there and stuff like that, but it's mainly app tutorials, and it's geared toward apps that I really, really like and apps that I think that are sometimes overlooked. And I try to look for things about the apps that I feel might already be overlooked and not covered in other tutorials. So it's really intended to be complementary to like your channel, to Pete, the GarageBand Guide, and all those great channels out there. And I've got a video of my favorite, YouTube educators. You're in there, Jade, of course. So I view it as sort of a supplement to the things that might not be covered to the degree that I want, or specific things that I think may not have been covered elsewhere. And then I got my favorite developers, like Four Pockets. That's one of my absolute favorites. So there's a bias there. I get to pick and choose which apps show up on my channel. I don't have to think about what it is. I just have to be like, I like this, I'm putting it out. That's it.
Yeah, what I love about your videos is that a lot of the iOS videos are pretty similar kind of template of here's the
Mm.
app, here's how much it costs, here's what it does. Let's break it down, show you how it works. But I do love how you find things like a specific part of an app that hasn't
Mm.
been focused on enough, especially with Four Pocket stuff. Like Four Pockets
Yeah.
make fantastic apps, but they can be a little bit complicated sometimes. And
Yeah.
and I mean, you really break down a lot of the Four Pocket stuff as well too. What is it about Four
Oh yeah,
Pockets
i'm
you
a i'm a
love?
nut.
Yeah, what
I'm
is it?
a Four Pockets nut.
Why?
I don't know, it just struck a chord with me. It's funny because I've been using Four Pockets apps for years and years, since like maybe 2020, something like that, maybe even 2019. And I thought they were really cool. And there were certain, things I could do only with Four Pockets apps, or that seemed easiest. And for a while there, I liked them for certain specific uses. And then at some point, I started to dig in a little deeper into the apps. And I was like, wait a minute, if you peel back the hood, there's like 10 times more stuff in these apps that I didn't know about. So then I started like going through each of the apps, like all my favorite Four Pockets apps, and like I'm going to learn this thing inside out. I'm going to read the whole help manual. I'm going to watch all the videos. I'm going to learn it inside out. And I watched them over and over and over again. The
Yeah.
amount of content that's packed into those videos by Paul is mind-boggling. And I just got addicted, and I just love the apps. And it's not just that I, am enthralled with the apps and all the cool stuff they do. It's a lot of really cool stuff that I can do with the apps that I'm like, I need to do this. I can do that with helium. Oh wait, I need to do this. I can do that with neon. I mean, it's just an incredible toolbox. So the combination of like just wanting to understand the app and really feel competent with it, combined with just falling in love with the apps, was what did it for me.
It's funny, all right? Like when I started doing apps here on this channel, I was like you, over at Pete's channel. And, would be over at Pete's channel. And I remember sitting in the chat and being a moderator on Pete's channel. My love has always been apps. Even before I got doing this, I would scour all the app reviews, and because things were a little bit different then. I was buying apps. So you wanted to go and watch as many things as possible before you made the decision of laying down $15 or $10 or $5.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much it is, right? Because it's still money, and the stuff costs money. So you want to make sure your investment's good. And I would watch a lot of these videos. And then I was over at Pete's channel, and I would be in the chat there as a moderator. And Pete doesn't really cover apps. So I would post links to apps in his chat saying, oh, this actually does what you're looking for. And you won't find it in GarageBand. And then I started doing apps here on the channel, started this channel, and then I haven't had to buy apps.
Yeah.
And then you start building a collection of apps and going, oh man, I've got way too many apps. Like, and you get paralysis. Like, you're a collector of apps. Do you sometimes buy apps that you don't really fucking need?
I do. I'll admit it straight up. But I if I do buy an app, I think about it before I buy it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because I want to support the developer. But if I do buy an app, I actually try to put it through its paces. I really try to understand the app and use it. I mean, if it's too difficult, I might not buy it. If it's too complicated, like one of these noise generators apps with 100 knobs, that's not my thing. I'm probably not going to buy that.
We talk about this every day, don't we? Like, so for those who don't know, Ed's one of the people who comes in the clubhouse with us, and whatever you may think we talk about in there, we talk a lot about music and apps, and me and Ed talk about apps a lot. And there are some apps I haven't covered on this channel because here's the thing, like, now Ed's like me, you've got to learn an app before you can fucking do a show on it, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to know what you're talking about. Sometimes you can get away with it if it's a delay or a reverb because, hey, fucking they're reverbs, But there are some apps out there that are very, very complicated and, in my opinion, unnecessarily so, right? I just want to make something. And if I have to open up an app and then spend 2 weeks learning how to use it before I can make fucking music, and then I do that, and then I make music, and it's not much better than what I was already doing before. It's a tough one, So sometimes I don't review those apps because I don't want to sit here and learn how to use a fucking whole new groove box when I already know how to use 8 groove boxes that I have, and I don't use them right now. Paralysis comes with this amount of apps, it's a thing. Russ has the best outlook, in my opinion. Russ 8889, he only gets apps that he knows he's going to use in something. Like, he can hear something that's going to be used in down the track. And whenever he does a song, he picks certain apps that are going to be in that song and knows what they're going to do because he's previously bought them with the idea of them being in this thing. It's harder than what you think, but it's really hard to actually do that because we're not fucking mind readers. We can't change the future. We can't write the future with our head. So you end up sometimes with a bunch of apps that you never use.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will get apps myself. I totally agree with everything you said there. I will get apps for myself because I think I might be able to help somebody else out with it. And I think it's useful. But I mean, I'm not in the position, that you are, where you've established yourself as a person who's an expert on so many apps. I mean, you are. When I want to know something, that I go to Jade Starr app, the apps, the app videos. That's where I go. That's the first place I go for just about any app.
Thanks.
So, I mean, you've already, built yourself up.
But this too, like, as somebody who's been into music, and most people here in this chat or watching on the replay, right? you
Hmm.
have an idea how to use most of these apps. It's not like you're
Yeah.
going in blind, unless it's like an
Right.
Igor Vasiliev app, right?
Yeah.
Then,
Those. Yeah.
but even
That's
those,
tough.
they still have a structure. Like the UI looks the same in nearly every app, so there's
Hmm.
similarities. Even Paul, all his apps have very similar buttons, and so
Hmm.
it's not as hard as what you would think. It's just like anything, time.
Time. That's it. Exactly. Now, I think that's the thing I see. From my perspective, I mean, I got chunks of time. I could spend 2 3 hours on some app and be like, oh, okay, I still don't quite get it, but yeah, I kind of got it. Whereas you've got so much stuff going on. You've got to if you're gonna review an app, you've got to fit that in your schedule and all that stuff. That's a lot. And you're also trying to maintain your own creative attitude and create your own songs and fulfill yourself,
My own
right?
songs.
That's a tall order.
Yeah, look, sometimes I think most people can identify with this, even if it's not running a YouTube channel or whatever. There just isn't enough time to make
No.
music all the time. It's a constant
Hmm.
battle to find time. Pete says here we have hundreds of noise makers. I think that is noise makers, reverbs, delays, chord creators. Yet nobody can make a decent guitar simulator for iOS. Extremely true,
Yeah.
but as Thomas says here, there are some fucking sick guitar sims on desktop. So
Yeah.
there's that. It's very true. There's some stuff.
Yeah.
But this is amazing too. Why is this stuff not being ported over to iOS? I really don't understand at this
I don't know.
point. I think it's to do with the money.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this because you're in on this on the ground
Hmm.
level. A lot of people complain about the cost of apps on iOS. And look, anything that costs money is a pain in the ass. Let's just say that for now. And if you compare, like these days, we have the same so many more of the same apps that are available on desktop are available on iOS. It's happening. Like regardless.
Oh
of,
yeah.
we don't have all these great guitar sims and stuff, but it's going to get there eventually. But I think the thing that's holding everything back is that these software producers have outgoings, and
Hmm.
$100 for the same app on desktop, and then if they make a port for iOS and sell it for $5, where do you actually make money?
Yeah. Exactly.
Because our iOS developers are struggling. There's no doubt about it. People
Yeah.
can sit here and complain about everything that fucking goes on. Oh, this app had bugs. This app doesn't do what I want. This blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know that really affects people. This app doesn't have a fucking freeze effect on my reverb.
Hmm.
But the guy who made it is going to be eating out of a bin in 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's tough.
It's really tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a tough crowd. It's not just the cost, the money, as you said. That's definitely a major factor, that's going to make developers think twice, if not 3 times, or even just say, forget it. But also the demands that I see, being made on developers, like, oh, thanks for those 100 features. Can you add these 2 more, please? What? Right? And it just came out yesterday. It's like, come on, people, right? Are you with me, Jade?
look, I know it. But
Yeah.
this just doesn't affect iOS apps. This affects everything. We have
All
become,
apps, yeah, but yeah.
it affects every single thing
Yes.
that we have now
Yes.
because, I think we can all agree that the powers that be are moving us rather quickly into a world of
Yeah.
renting everything. They want us to rent everything and own
Yeah.
nothing, So
Hmm.
when when it comes to whatever it is, music, apps, I've lost my train of thought now.
Well, you're talking about money
Oh
initially,
yeah.
iOS money, the lack of, yeah.
When it comes down to it, the people don't need any of this stuff. But
Right.
the way it's constantly thrown at you, we talked about this at the start of the show. It seems like there's a lot of people out there who, especially let's focus on apps. As soon as a new app comes out, everybody scrambles to go, "Oh, is it any good? Do I need it? Do you think I'm going to need it?" And it's like, you don't need it. I can tell you without even buying the app or having it on my iPad. You don't need it, in my opinion. But if you think you need it, you need it. And you know what? No one else's opinion matters, you know?
Right. You got to decide for yourself.
Yes.
You know, you're the only one that can know one way or the other if the app is for you or not.
I mean,
but there's so many videos. Usually you can just watch a video. You ought to be able to tell.
Well, Ed, I saw an app dropped yesterday. A new app came out yesterday. And immediately before it had just dropped, and somebody had posted it in a Facebook thing, and basically it says, this person's written, has anybody got a video out on this so I can decide to buy it? It's like it just came out 5 minutes ago too.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
You don't need permission to go and buy it. You know what? The other day I saw one too, an app that had came out. It was only $2, and I saw somebody putting in a Facebook group going, "I really need to know if somebody's covered this because I want to know before I spend $2." It's like, fucking hell, man! Really, $2?
$2 buy a candy bar.
Yeah, and it's like, are you fucking shitting me? It's $2, dude. Even if it sucks, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
That's getting a little crazy at that level to me.
Yes. Yeah. It's an interesting market. Like I've said it many times on this channel, you don't need these apps, but you can want them, and they can add to nearly every door that's available now has all this stuff. It's just, on how unique you want to make it. Hey, Timber Traveler, hello. We are getting right at the end here, so I'm going to hit you up with the last couple of questions.
Okay.
Did it go fast?
Yeah, it did.
It always does.
I feel like we hardly covered anything.
I know.
But I'm sure we covered a lot.
It's weird. Like, you think before when you come on and do this, it's, what are we going to talk about? And then it gets to 2 hours and you're like, fucking, what did we cover? I don't know.
I don't know. I babbled a lot. That's all I remember.
It's all just for nothing. Hey, Robbie Stingle. And I think I said hi to Hugh Calder. Maybe I didn't. Jaden, hello. If I've missed you in the chat, Falcro, g'day. I try and keep up with everything here, but at the same time, keep the show rolling. But thank you all for hanging out. What is on the plans for Ed Zielinski on your YouTube channel and music making ventures coming up?
Pretty much just the same stuff. I just plan to continue adding videos as I can fit them in. And when I come across an app or a particular feature of an app that I think is really cool and interesting, I'll throw it out there. Audio Modern right now, it's like Playbeat 4. You can see that. There's one up there for that. I'd like to do a couple more on Playbeat, Logic Pro. So, I mean, whatever happens to be, really interesting to me, and that I feel I'm vibing with, where I feel like nobody's really tapped into the way I think they could. That gives like that light. When I light up on something and I don't see other people lighting up on that same thing, I'm like, well, it could just be me, but maybe not. So I'll put a video out there and maybe other people might say, hey, yeah, I like that too. And they'll appreciate it as well. So that pretty much just keeping up what I'm doing. I'm trying not to set any great, goals in terms of like how many videos, because I don't want to start thinking about numbers and subscribers and stuff like that. Cause I started thinking about it and I was like, ooh, I'm not liking this feeling I'm getting. Cause I'm starting to be like, what if I reach this number, but what if I don't reach this number? What does that mean? What if I start losing subscribers? Ooh, what does that mean? And I was like, no, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to, like, when I feel I'm onto something and I feel the spirit, I'm going to throw a video together. And if the video gels, I'll post it. That's it.
It's the best way to work. There's nothing worse than, YouTube gives us all these tools as a creator and says, oh, like they've added this
Yeah.
new tool to their, I don't know if people have noticed on their YouTube channel. They've added this new tool when you go to your analytics. It's just under the main information and it says it changes. So your views were higher than usual and it has this little graph and it tells you what. So possibly is because you release more videos than normal. The thing is with that stuff, it's great and it's nice to have insight. Now, can you tell us how the algorithm works?
Yeah.
Because like, I think that's 99% of the secret. But it's the one thing they won't tell us how it fucking works. But they'll give us these things about just change your thumbnail. It's no, that's not how it fucking works. But anyway, you keep feeding us this shit and we'll keep dancing around trying to make our videos popular and without any information on really, really how to feed the algorithm properly. But there's that. I'm complaining now. Ed, I'm going to hit you with the last question.
I want to say something in response to that if I can. And what you said there. So you're talking about like, YouTube wants you to do this and that, and, there's a lot of people on YouTube that go, oh, we do this to get more views and gain subscribers and following and be an influencer and all this stuff. But I think, you can do, there's certain things you can do which will make a difference. And some people are really good at that stuff. And you can go down that path. But I think the number one thing to me, and this is going to sound corny, is authenticity. If you show enthusiasm, authenticity, and joy, and tell people something interesting and useful along the way, I mean, that's not magic formula. That's just a winning formula. There's nothing magic about it, and you do that all the time. I mean, when you turn into Jade Starr, you get authenticity. Right. You get all sorts of different things, right? But it's all Jade Starr.
Yeah.
Right. You never know what you're going to get, but it's going to be authentic.
I never know what I'm going to give.
That's right.
Thomas says, pretty soon YouTube will be calling us in the middle of the night demanding we make more content. They're almost doing that now.
Yeah.
I got a little message on my YouTube studio thing the other day saying, today would be a good day to release a video. And I was like, what? Says who? I've got things planned today. I'm going for a bike ride. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. And they may as well just write, hey, look, if you don't put out something today, everybody's going to forget you.
Uh-huh.
Because that's how it feels sometimes. Like, it's the constant pressure to, and what's poison about it? They want you to be 20, they want you to release something all the time. Keep releasing stuff. And at the same time, you sit there and think, am I putting out too much stuff? Am I being annoying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because YouTube wants me to do it. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
All right. The last question. Hit up with everybody. If someone was considering becoming creative, Ed, when would be the best time for them to start?
I'd say in about 5 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2, go.
In fact, right now, just, leave this interview, turn off your computer and go be creative, I shouldn't say that. That's going to affect your views
you'll miss,
on this video. People are going to drop off.
Since the sad passing of Dot recently, Mayhew, Russ's mum, we used to do the roast, and people, you send in one of your songs, and she fucking destroyed you, didn't she? She destroyed everybody. Well, I've been trying to come up with an idea of something new to fill that spot because we don't. Without Dot, the show sucks. Me and Russ are boring, right? So I've been thinking about doing a roast show, but we get people to instead send in the earliest song that they can find that they ever recorded. Or the closest to the first song you ever recorded that you have access to. Because I think that's a fun kind of way to shit on people's music.
Yeah, totally. And you never know what you're going to get.
Absolutely. Fuck, the first music I recorded was fucking rubbish. So, but maybe we'll do that. All right. Now is the time to make some music, folks. So I want to thank Ed for coming on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know were you a bit nervous about coming on today?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm still nervous.
Really awesome.
Yeah, I feel like what is, I don't know about this interview. I'm not so sure. I mean, you did great, but I'm like, I don't know
Dude,
about
it's
this.
done. It's
So
done.
yeah, you never know.
You're done.
It's
You
too
got
late
through
now,
it.
right?
You got through it. So thank you for coming
Yeah.
on and sharing a little bit about
Thank
who
you.
you are, because, as I said at the beginning of the interview, we've just seen your name around. Know you've got a YouTube channel. I've tried to send people over to that channel. You should go over and sign up, folks, because you know what? I hear this on this channel all the time, but I don't have iOS. It doesn't matter if you're not using iOS. They're all the same fucking thing. PC, Mac, they're all DAWs. They all do the same thing, record guitars, have different plugins, and all, but it's all the same shit in a different bucket. So it's a good idea to go over and sign up to Ed Zielinski and listen to what he does, because not only is it just a specific app, it's little tips within stuff about MIDI and stuff like that that you may not understand about MIDI. That, I mean, Ed's helped me a bunch of times. For me personally, I suck with MIDI. MIDI is my least knowledgeable thing, and I don't know what it is about it. Forever, I just look at all the MIDI ins and outs and go, it's too much, and I get really nervous around it. But you seem to have a really good grip on MIDI.
That's because I'm faking it really well.
That's how it works.
No, I MIDI. I struggle with MIDI, and I'm anything that any kind of knowledge I know is from hours and hours and hours of watching videos and reading. So yeah.
All right, folks, there you go. So hopefully you've learnt, read, learn stuff, whatever. Have fun, make music. And I want to thank Ed for coming on here.
Thank you.
We got lots of cool stuff coming up over the next couple of days. I've got no one to dump you to, because the walk with me isn't up yet. So there's that. In fact, what I'll do is I'll set this up to do a dump just quickly. Give me a sec while I get this song lined up as well. Where are we? All right. So links in the description for Ed Zielinski, for his SoundCloud page, and for, of course, his YouTube channel, which Thomas has been slamming links in all the way through the show. I'm just going to set a dump up here, redirect. Let's do this. That can go over there. That's done. Save. We're good. And we're going to go out with a song called Without You. You want to tell us about this song before we close out of here?
Oh yeah. This was one that I did do this one in Band in the Box.
This is Band in the Box.
And I added the vocals on there. It's one that I feel like was I really stretched myself to do this one, and I feel like it worked out pretty well. I think it probably represents like some of the the better talent, better amount of skill that I developed over the years combined into one song. But I'm still working on it, still trying to get there.
Because we're all just a work in progress. Somebody said that. I don't know. But all right, let's do it. Thanks. Hey, Hottie, coming in late there. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on the live stream today and being so much fun in the chat. And for those who donated, and for those of you watching on the replay, hello. Hit the subscribe if you can. If you're not subscribed already, we are 40 subscribers away from 5,000. It's almost here.
5,000.
Yes, we're almost there.
Yes,
all right.
We can do it.
Let's get out of here. This is Without You. Do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better, and we'll all rise together. Stay awake, and let's Ode with Ed Zielinski, Without You. Boom, 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 boom. Whoop. Let's go.
Thank you.
Will you ever know? Will you ever see? I'll never be the same. You shared your life with me. You are the one. Walked into my life, touched a part of me no one else could see. You are the one. Lighted the flame, turned my world around. Nothing was the same. You are one I believe. And everything seemed wrong. You made it all right again now, baby. You are the son's favorite child, the apple of his eye. When you flash that great big smile, you are everything I could ever need, babe. Everything you do and say, you just take my breath away. Now that you're gone and everything is gray, hope you found the love you need, and that is there to stay. I tried to hold you like a butterfly in my hand, but you were born to fly, flying so into the sky, to the sky, to the sky.